Welcome to Business Talks with Matt Kaufler. Business Talks is brought to you in part by STCU. Now, here's Matt.
Hello and welcome to Spokane Business Talks. My name is Matt Kaufler. My guest today is Andy Johnston. He is the president of Johnston Engineering. Andy, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great to have you. Great to have you. Let's begin with the origins of Johnston Engineering. How did your company begin?
Sure, yeah. I spent 11 years as a mechanical engineer for an aerospace company. So we did a lot of aerospace, electronics, cooling, and packaging. And after 11 years, opened Johnston Engineering and have been going strong 4 years since then.
Well, congratulations.
Yes,
That's great.
thank you.
So I'm just curious, was it the nature of the situation that you were just burnt out on corporate life, working for someone else, or was this a dream of yours from the time you were a young kid to have your own business, and it was just inevitable that you were going to go in the direction of being an entrepreneur?
Parker Aerospace in Liberty Lake, we started as Isothermal Systems Research and was bought out by Parker Aerospace. We went up to 300 employees, and we developed a product for the commercial market that didn't really go.
Okay.
I stayed on the military and aerospace side the whole time. So there was 8 rounds of layoffs, and as a company that just shrunk and shrunk until Parker bought us. I worked for Parker Aerospace for 5.5 years after that, and then they announced in July of 2015 that they were actually going to shut the company down, and they tried to get us to move back to Ohio, which I'm from Spokane, and I reported through Ohio, and I was back there a few times a year.
You saw enough, and
I wasn't going to go there.
Right.
So they told us, okay, we want you to stay on and finish up your program. So I worked at Parker Aerospace during the day, and then I was working on my own company at nighttime. So my last day of work was Halloween of 2015.
Trick or treat.
And that's also I left my exit meeting there, and I went to collect on my first invoice.
Okay, good
so
for you.
It worked
That's
great.
a great story.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
I've been busy since, really.
Okay. And Johnston Engineering, at its core, is about research and design, but you also do other things beyond research and design.
Sure.
Correct?
Yep.
Tell us.
Yes. So
a little bit about that.
we really need to understand what our customers need, right? So there is a portion of that which is just getting the information out of our customer. So taking really an idea that somebody has and getting it to where it's a workable design. So a lot of the work that we go after requires mechanical engineering analysis, which is making sure that things are strong enough instead of just make it heavier or make it stronger. There's software out there that we can use to make sure that things are going to be strong enough, or electronics are going to be cool enough, or that fluid interacts with solids in a certain way. So we employ those softwares to make sure that those things are going to work as good as we could possibly have them work on the first time. So it's the combination of design and using analysis software that gets us some better designs. So
in terms of that, what would you suggest is your point of differentiation exactly versus another company that's offering engineering-related services?
Sure, yeah. I think that really what we're doing is taking that same aerospace quality design and aerospace quality engineering and bringing it to other markets. So the design process, the analysis process, where things don't fly literally in aerospace until you know that they're strong enough, and until electronics are going to be cool enough to function as they need to be. So we take those same design approaches and bring them to other markets. And the same program management approach, right? So I run programs the same way that Boeing or Northrop Grumman required us to run them too. So making sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do at the right time, everybody understands what they're going to do. They go out and they do their individual jobs and they come back. So it's schedule, budget, action item management to make sure that we're all working together as a team.
Tell us a little bit about your customers. You've been in business 4 years. Is it a diverse set? Is it relatively concentrated? How would you characterize your customer base?
Yeah, I would say that it's pretty diverse. So if I were to characterize my customers, there's really 2 groups. So One is a larger company that needs some specific engineering help. So they might need specific design help. So we can design parts or assemblies, or a lot of what we're end up helping with the medium-sized businesses is on engineering analysis. So mechanical engineering is huge, and analysis and making sure things are strong enough, or making sure that things are being cooled adequately is really just a very small specialty of mechanical engineering. But that's what I've been doing from the beginning,
Right.
and so it's really easy to step into those kind of situations and provide that additional help to companies. So it could be a full design task with analysis, or a lot of it's just is engineering analysis too. So that's the first one, is the medium-sized businesses. My second customer is someone who has an idea of something that they want to get to market.
So,
But-
so an entrepreneur,
Right.
who wants to prototype
Yep.
something to that effect.
And they need help with the design. They don't know what to do, right? So we bring them in and we try to understand exactly what the purpose of this new device or machine is. And then we do some design work and some prototyping work, and then we help them get into high volume production. So, a product we got to market last year is now sold all over the world. And my client told me that the revenue that he has in his first year of business, and it's really impressive. So from an idea that is just in your head, something that you want to do, I help those entrepreneurs. We build it, we figure out how to mass produce it and sell it, and help them set up a production line. So there's some manufacturing engineering of how to build things effectively and cheaply that I help with them too.
What about, just to take that a step further, there's also the testing that's
Yes.
involved. Do you get involved on the test side? Is it something you outsource to somebody else to do under your supervision? How does that work?
Right. So the way that you know that things are going to work well ahead of time is by starting with your analysis first, right? So you design things correctly ahead of time, and then you design tests to make sure it meets those requirements. So if it's strength, or if it's a certain way that something is going to function, then we can do those tests. I spent a lot of time on the research and development side too when I was at Parker Aerospace, and some $1 million programs that were very specific for testing to really find one very particular area of engineering. So we can design tests, we can design test systems, we can test those, we can put things in environmental chambers, we can stretch things, pull things, and break things, because you really want to fail in the lab.
It sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Yeah. Well, really, you want to fail on the
Sure,
computer simulation
absolutely.
first,
Yes,
and fix it
understood.
until the design is right,
Yeah.
and then fail in the lab.
Yeah.
So you're never going to fail when it gets out to the customer.
So, when I think about engineering, and I know your specialty is mechanical engineering, at least to my way of thinking, there must be some projects where you have to interact with electrical engineering, RF
sure.
engineering, possibly biological engineering. Do those, is that something your firm also has a competency in? Is that something where it's just a matter of cooperation and coordination with other engineering disciplines? Can you tell us a little bit about
Sure.
that interaction?
Yep. Almost every product that we deal with has electrical components in it. So there's electrical engineers, and we don't have that internally, but we work with electrical engineers and software engineers and circuit board designers. So a lot of our components are going to have printed circuit boards in there. So there's going to have to be, an electrical engineer and a software engineer that's going to have to design those components in. So we can communicate electronically in terms of the models that we're handing back and forth, and some of it's writing the series of operations for how a certain machine is going to work. So you really have to work hand in hand with those other trades. So there's one company in Spokane here, which is Infinetics, and I hire them, they'll hire me back, so we just kind of are trading back and forth. So it's really going to other companies that we have relationships with.
I'm curious, getting back to the design element of what you do, and the renderings and so forth. I know a lot of it is software driven. Is this software if you will, just essentially trade software that you purchase, or is it software that you actually modify and make and customize to the needs of Johnston Engineering? So there's a proprietary aspect that comes into the design process in terms of your own both technical knowledge and I think in any business there's a certain art form, if you will, that can be brought to it as well to make it proprietary.
So we do our design work in SolidWorks,
Okay.
which is a software that anyone can buy. But you need to understand how to use
How
that,
to manipulate
right?
it, essentially.
And so my mechanical designers are all, I'm the youngest guy at my company at 40 years old. So I've got my mechanical designers who are designing parts all day are people with hands-on experience and know how to design parts to be cut on a CNC mill and cut on a lathe, because you can design something in those softwares that is never going to be made.
Right.
So you need to design to a specific process, whether it's machining or if you're going to weld something or sheet metal, you really need to design to those processes.
Okay.
So it's really, you have to couple that software with that knowledge of how things are going to work and be diverse enough to understand which particular manufacturing process is going to be a better fit for a customer.
Okay.
Right. So it's SolidWorks for mechanical design. Then after that, our analysis is all in ANSYS. So I started using ANSYS when I was at Parker Aerospace, and it really is an aerospace quality finite element analysis and computational fluid dynamics software. So it's excellent software. It's much more onerous to learn how to use, but it's the details that you need to do to actually capture the physics of what's going on in engineering problems. It's much easier to control, and then it solves your problems a lot faster. So a lot of times you're setting up a numerical simulation, and if you don't have the physics captured, then you're going to just get garbage in and garbage out, right? So you need to make sure that you have an adequate physical representation, and then you also need to set it up in such a way where you don't begin a simulation and come back a day or two later.
Sure. Well, we're going to pause for a moment, and when we come back, we will continue our conversation with Andy Johnston, the president of Johnston Engineering.
I'm Brandy Schloss. I'm a regional manager at STCU. My lunch buddy is Angelina. She's grown up with me. I've grown up with her. To see her graduate will be a lot of fun.
Brandy and I have been lunch buddies since the girls were in second grade. It's great that STCU provides me with the opportunity to be part of Reach for the Future. We are committed to the children. We're committed to our community. I'm Nikki.
I'm Brandy.
And STCU is here for good.
O'Brien Logistics would like to invite you to try our local and regional transportation services. With Sprinter vans, lift gates, hot shot flatbeds, and expedited services, our people are ready to step in and help with your transportation needs. Our services are 24/7, 365, and we are trained and prepared to handle air cargo and Canadian shipments. Give us a call at 208-305-2311 or visit our website at o'brienlogistics.net. That's OBRIEN logistics.net.
Hello and welcome back to Spokane Business Talks. I'm Matt Kaufler, and our guest today is Andy Johnston. We're going to continue our conversation with Andy. Getting back to your customers, I know you said they're diverse. Are they all here in the Spokane or inland Northwest area, or are they scattered across the country? Can you tell us geographically about your customer base?
Sure, yeah. No, we're spread out.
Yeah.
We have a couple customers in the Spokane area. We have a job going out of Tacoma. We just delivered a project to Lake Union, downtown Seattle. So yeah, Denver, Seattle area, a couple in California. If we win this next one out of California, that'll be exactly knock on wood, right? But we can really work wherever.
Wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the customers it sounds like they're very scattered,
right? Yep.
And so forth geographically. I'm curious, when you started Johnston Engineering, it seems to me you have your your expertise itself as an engineer, which is a very demanding type of career. But then there's the other skill set of running a business.
Right.
You know, you have employees, you have to meet payroll. There are issues around, you know, employee benefits and insurance and health, you know, all that sort of thing. Tell us a little bit about how that transition was for you. I think a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, you know, sometimes underestimate there's what they love to do, in your case engineering, and then there's actually running a business. How's your experience been in the last 4 years?
Yeah, well, I do love engineering, and I spent really the first 2 years as a company just, you know, as the one guy there.
Yeah.
And then I started getting employees. So I did a little bit of the early accounting, but it's really just, you know, accounts receivable and accounts payable. So it's pretty easy to step into that. So I slowly just learned from accounting and business law and patent law. I'm really a proponent of being honest with yourself with what you're not good at. And you either need to go find help on those or you need to go learn.
Right.
So I took the Ignite Northwest Business Accelerator program back when it was a little different program than it is now. Learned a lot from there in terms of the things that I need to operate a business. And I've got good accountants, good business lawyers, good intellectual property lawyers, and it's probably 50% of my time that I spend doing the actual running of the business, and the rest is technical engineering. So, you know, I'm working on a transient thermal analysis, and I'm also working on sending out invoices and figuring out which of the credit card charges go to which category.
Right.
So it's just kind of doing those together and finding the right people to where if I need help, I reach out to them.
So when you look back over your last 4 years being out on your own, what would you suggest, perhaps in reflection, you underestimated about going out on your own, and what have been your greatest learnings since being out on your own?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge and biggest thing that I underestimated was finding the right customers. So it's really marketing, right? It's finding that right fit, that customer that needs the skill set that I can provide them with, that would be a benefit for them. It's got to be the right time. It's got to be the right cost. So the marketing aspect, when you're the one guy doing it, you know, you're spending all your time billing on a job, right? And when you're billing, you're not marketing. So you really have to do that all the time, right? So that's why I'm saying I'm 50% where I'm actually doing technical billable work and 50% where I'm actually running the business and trying to do marketing all the time. So not realizing that was really a large part of it. So it's that running the business, and there's a lot more that has to go on behind the scenes in terms of employees and keeping everybody running and marketing and accounting and and employee benefits too.
Sure.
So there's just a lot that people need to learn to start a business, but people can do it. People do it all the time.
Sure.
It's just a matter of having that mindset where, yes, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to go figure out these things that I need to do.
I want to hop back for a second. You mentioned pricing and so forth. When you're competing for a project or you get a project, I'm just, in your line of work, are you billing on a time and materials basis? Are you locking in with customers in a fixed price basis, cost plus? What's the nature of the contractual relationships in your industry?
Well, we're flexible.
Okay.
So we try to do whatever our customer wants. So I sent out a firm fixed price bid yesterday.
Okay.
But I'm working on another project that is just time and materials. So it's really, and that's really kind of our philosophy, is we want to fit into what our customer needs from availability of our resources to doing the portion of the job that they want, whether it's a big part or a little part, or how the contract is structured. And we have to be flexible for our customers.
So I'll take it a step forward. It seems to me that you bring so much expertise to the table that I would argue that there could be a great opportunity, if you don't do it already, to have some type of kicker built into a contract where, to the extent a certain product is successful and a lot of it's driven off of your expertise, can you share in the future upside, perhaps? Have you, is that something you do, or something you're open to as a firm?
Yes, for pretty much until very recently, I've said no.
Okay.
I get a lot of people who come in with great ideas.
Sure.
But they say, okay, you can have half my company, but you have to do all of this design work and pay for the tooling, and there's a lot of other things. And I pretty much said no to everybody until recently. And there's this good fit where someone has something else that they want to contribute to the company that can make it go, whether it's marketing or something else that can really help push the company forward.
Yes.
Those are the kind of good fits. So I'm doing a couple different things right now. I started another business recently, which is to take a product that I helped develop and actually get that to market. So it's paying for the high volume production design for patent, and I'm paying a royalty to the inventor for it. So it's no longer burdening him with the cost of it, and all of the success and failure then falls on us. So that's one way to do it. Another is I'm partnering with another company where it's an electrical engineer and an inventor, and so we've got a group together that we know is a much higher chance of success. So those are the kind of things where I'd be looking more to be involved with the upside of it.
Going back to where we started the program, we were talking about the origins of Johnston Engineering. Out there right now is a man or a woman sitting at their desk, highly skilled.
Yep.
They're watching layoffs going on, a company getting downsized. What advice do you have for them now that you've taken this leap and they're contemplating? It's a scary thought to go out on your own, and a guy like you have young children, triplets, I would mention, a wife, etc. What advice would you have for that person today who was in your shoes a few years ago?
That they should do it.
Yeah.
I think that they can do it, but don't expect to be a part of where you're just a worker anymore.
Right.
You have to take on all the ownership, all the good and bad. Everything is original. Going to stop with you. The buck stops with the owner.
Yes.
So it's a lot of work, but people can do it. They're doing it all the time. So plan on working a lot more, just not as just the technician who's doing the job, but of actually the business owner too.
Sure. Let's take a step back and talk about Spokane generally. You come into contact with a lot of talent that's here locally, that's also outside the area. What's your assessment of the entrepreneurial environment here as it stands today, and maybe contrast that a little bit to 5-10 years ago and what your sense was of it then?
Yeah, I feel like our general environment is pretty strong. We've got Startup Spokane and GSI, Mind to Market, Ignite Northwest. There's a lot of people who want to see entrepreneurs succeed. I feel like we could do better in Spokane with nurturing companies. I think that there's really this amount of money that a company needs that's around $50,000 to $100,000 to really get their patent attorney paid for, their engineering done, and some facilities set up to help get their company off the ground.
Right.
So I think there's kind of a hole for funding for that level of entrepreneur that just needs that. And I'd love to see some way that we could fund those kind of people. We have, with Gonzaga and EWU and Whitworth, I would like to see more businesses spawn out of those schools. I think we got the right people, we got students that are motivated, and I think we really have a great opportunity. So I think that we could really improve as a community to really just get behind those people and push them to do that. So I feel like that we're really strong. We have a great manufacturing base, and we're the right place. We're cheap. We have cheap labor. There's a lot of good things that are going in the right direction, but I think that we could do more.
All great points, and we're going to have to wrap things up. I'd love to have you come back sometime. But in the meantime, if anyone would like to get a hold of you and talk to you further about your services at Johnston Engineering, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. They can find us, johnstonpe.com. And if you want to call us, it's 509-290-1034, and we will answer day or night. We're here to help our customers.
Great.
So whether it's just sitting down and talking about your idea, we don't charge anybody to sit down and talk about their idea. So if you got something that you want to bring to market, or if you need engineering help, we're happy to do it.
Terrific. Well, Andy, thanks again for joining us today. And thank you for also joining us today. I'm Matt Kaufler for Spokane Business Talks. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksMedia.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Business Talks is brought to you in part by STCU. Hear this program again on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com.